Last night, the A's continued their early season road success. 4 wins in 4 games, including 3 one-run victories. Mark Canha delivered in the 11th with a 2-out RBI single, and the A's took Game 1 of the 3-game series in the Bronx. Tonight, it's Kendall Graveman's turn to take the hill. He will look to build off his last start versus the Angels, where he allowed 1 run on 4 hits and a no decision. It's Game 2 of the 3-game series. A's, Yankees, next. It's another beautiful night for baseball in the Bronx. We're at Yankee Stadium. The A's have won 3 in a row. The Yankees have lost 5 out of 6. Kendall Graveman will try to get the A's their 4th consecutive win. Game 2 of the series. It's the A's and the Yankees coming up on CSN California. Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Oakland A's baseball, along with Ray Fosse and Glenn Kuiper. Kendall Graveman has pitched pretty well in his first 2 starts, but he doesn't have anything to show for it, Ray. Maybe he can get that first win tonight. You know, it's not often that a pitcher goes to AAA and improves himself. Ever since he came back, Kendall Graveman has been outstanding. The numbers don't show it, but he has pitched outstanding baseball. Against the Angels, he had everything working. You look at the numbers, he's a ground ball pitcher, but he can also get strikeouts. So that's a tremendous accomplishment to be able to do both of those. So he's going to keep the ball on the ground, keep it out of the air. But if you score him some runs, he's made enough pitches that he should be able to pick up a win. Well, last year we watched Marcus Semien really have a roller coaster season. We saw some tough moments. We also saw some high moments. And I think, Ray, what we're seeing this year is just continued improvement. Yeah. He's playing a little bit better defensively, and he already has 4 home runs. You know, and I think what he did last night, swinging 3-0, you will not see a better 3-0 swing as he did last night to plate a run that tied the ball game. But he said, I like the fastball down, but he did not try to hit the ball out of the park. He took his base hit, but what he's done defensively is spectacular, working with Ron Washington. That play on the run, making a strong throw. And how about this play at second last night? Ellsbury thrown out. It was a great pick at second base by Marcus Semien to be able to catch the ball and make the tag with a strong throw by Stephen Vogt. But all in all, a great job that he is doing. Just his 2nd year at Major League Baseball. And he's not a finished product yet, but he's working toward it, and he's really come a long way, and we think he's going to, in the end, be a pretty darn good player for the Athletics. We'll have lineups and first pitch from Yankee Stadium. Again, a very nice night for baseball, and the A's are looking for their 4th consecutive win. We'll have lineups and first pitch right after this. Yankee Stadium. The Yankees have taken the field behind their starting pitcher tonight, Nate Eovaldi. Very hard throwing right-hander. So that will be the challenge for the A's tonight. Game time weather presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. The boardwalk is open. Visit beachboardwalk.com for park hours. 62 degrees, so a little cooler tonight than it was last night, but not quite as breezy, at least in the early going. And for the A's, who are playing pretty good baseball right now, this is Bob Melvin's lineup. Starts with the speedy one, Billy Burns, and then Chris Coghlan will play second base tonight, and he'll hit second. Then it's Reddick, Valencia, and Vogt in the middle. Lowry had a good night last night. Chris Davis trying to get going, as is Yonder Alonso, and Marcus Semien will bat ninth.
And a hard-throwing right-hander, as Kipe said. Upper 90s with a fastball. He'll also throw a curve, a slider, and a split-finger fastball that he's developed under Larry Rothschild. But last year, the A's faced him a couple of times, and the good thing that they did was get his pitch count up. He only pitched a combined 10 innings against the A's in the 2 starts. He lost 1, and the A's won the other one. The home run that we mentioned that Brett Lawrie hit off of the hard-throwing right-hander Matanzas last year, and we saw him last night. But he's a good pitcher and in the rotation, and a staple in the rotation of the New York Yankees.
A's will look like this defensively, or the Yankees will look like this defensively. Hicks, Ellsbury, and Beltran in the outfield. Headley, Gregorius, Castro, Teixeira on the infield. Brian McCann is your catcher. So we're set for baseball from Yankee Stadium. Terrific win last night for the A's, 3-2 in 11 innings. A's come in with a 7-7 record, winners of 3 straight, and they are 4-0 on the road. This is game 2 of this very long 10-game road trip. First pitch of the ball game to Burns is hit right back up the middle, a base hit to center field. Fastball right down the middle, and Burns singles.
They don't even have time to give all the information before Billy Burns does this. Gets a fastball, you say, okay, I'm going to get ahead of him, and getting ahead is not the right thing to do with Billy Burns. He's so aggressive. All the numbers that he has put up, great ones against the Yankees, but also hitting the first pitch, which we have talked about many times. So maybe striking out last night for the first time this year. Said enough's enough. I'm not going to get the point of having 2 strikes.
He didn't like striking out.
No.
Leadoff man aboard. Here's Chris Coghlan.
See, the roll call has just begun, and you know they hardly have time to start mentioning the names, and Burns is at first.
First pitch to Coghlan. He is a strike. Well, the roll calls. Listen, it's a little different. The days when they were chanting Derek Jeter. Well, that was pretty cool. Now it's Didi Gregorius, and nothing against Didi, but it doesn't have quite the same effect.
They just did Starlin Castro. No, Teixeira is okay. He's been around a while.
And they got him. Burns was leaning, maybe getting ready to take off. He picked him off.
That is a quick move and a hard throw to first base. Watch the move by Eovaldi. Burns just enough. He was caught. He was done. Didn't even get back to the bag as Teixeira kept applying the tag. But you know, all those on the scouting reports, they know Eovaldi has a great move, and he just showed it. First inning, first batter.
So Burns erased, and the 0-1 pitch to Coghlan in. So Nate Eovaldi, 26 years old. 6'2", 225. Second year with the Yankees after coming over in trade from the Florida Marlins in December of 2014. Originally a Dodger. He was part of the Hanley Ramirez trade, where he went from the Dodgers to the Marlins, and then the Marlins to the Yankees. It was Martin Prado who was one of the players involved in that trade. Went down to Florida. Eovaldi's always had the terrific arm. Yeah, there's no secret there, and he's just trying to harness it, and had a decent year last year.
You know, Kipe, sometimes I think guy throws 97, 98, goes a little bit too much of the other pitches, which he did a couple of splitters and fell behind, and then threw a fastball that was Again, very hard on the 3-1 past Chris Coughlin.
Three-two pitch, here it is, and it's hit down the left field line and into the seats. So a little velocity graphic for you. The fast and the furious.
Yeah.
The fastball, that's the average miles per hour on his fastball 97, slider 89, splitter 89, and the curve 75. So that fastball, second fastest in the majors this year to Noah Syndergaard. But best fastball velocity in the American League, and that's what he had last year as well. Backhanded, Castro throws, got him. Nice play, Starlin Castro. Castro backhanded, he ranged quite a ways to his right and made a nice play. Corey Blazer's calling balls and strikes tonight. Jeff Nelson at first, Doug Eddings at second, Laz Diaz is over at third. Nelson's your crew chief. Getting back to Nate Eovaldi, last year his fastball averaged 96.7 miles an hour.
So when Aroldis Chapman is active and he comes in relief of Eovaldi, then there won't be that much of a difference.
Nope.
Except he throws a little bit harder.
The first side retired, so the inning started well, but Burns gets picked off and nothing else for the A's at the top of the first. For the Yankees, let's look at the rest of their lineup. It's Ellsbury, Castro, Beltran, Teixeira, McCann, Rodriguez, Headley, Gregorius, Hicks.
Kendall Graveman pitching here. Of course, Eric Surkamp last night, first time ever pitching against the Yankees. And for Kendall Graveman, he is experiencing something tonight here that he hopes is successful, and that is having success at Yankee Stadium. But he's been pitching well, but still 0-1, making his third start, but a much improved starting pitcher, and he has shown it last year and already this year.
He needs a win. Last time he won a game was the 4th of July of last year. This was shut down at the end of the year. He's going to try to get Graveman a win tonight.
Faced the Yankees last year at the Coliseum, and 5 2/3 innings. Last 10 starts, you can see he's 0-6, and definitely would like to improve on that. But that's one of those things, guys, and we've talked about it. You can pitch as well as you can, but if you don't get any run support, it makes it difficult to get in the win column. And sometimes they say that's why your ERA is the most important statistic. It's because you might not get run support to get the W's. But You don't get in the Hall of Fame unless you win 300.
That's what I was saying. That W is still nice.
Yes, definitely.
1-2 pitch is drilled right center. Nobody's going to get it. And it splits the two outfielders. Ellsbury will have a double leading off the bottom of the first.
Got ahead 1-2, and then too much of the plate. And there's their two-seamer that instead of going down and getting a ground ball, he left it up, and it ends up being a double to right center. And nobody was going to get to it, just a matter of getting it back in quickly enough to keep Ellsbury at second where he stands.
A milestone. 200th career double from Jacoby Ellsbury. Get the feeling, Ray, in reading the local papers, and it is the Post and the Daily News, but that Ellsbury a little bit of a whooping boy right now. Pretty hard on him.
Now you sign a contract that he signed, you come to New York, and you don't produce.
That is a possibility. Yeah.
And Ellsbury, while he had a good couple years in Boston inside a huge contract, he's not your prototypical big home run hitter, which I think the Yankees, when they give that kind of money, they expect that, and he's not going to do it.
Yeah, he needs to have 40 doubles and 50 stolen bases and 15 triples. That's the kind of player that Ellsbury is when he's at the top of his game. He leads off this one with a double. Now 2-0 to Starlin Castro. Castro 298, couple of homers, 9 RBIs. Sinkers low, 3-0. Castro was 1 for 5 with a double last night.
It's very aggressive. They're playing him to hit the ball to the right side, although 3-0 may change everything, but huge gap on the left side of the infield.
4-pitch walk to Castro.
Well, if you're facing the Yankees in their home ballpark, you're hoping to have a clean early part of the game and putting the first 2 runners on base, and now you're facing the middle part of the batting order of the Yankees. That's not something that you're really looking forward to. But one ground ball could turn into a double play, and Kurt Young, the pitching coach, knows that if he can get the ground ball with the aggressive Carlos Beltran, he could get 2 quick outs.
Here's Beltran, and it's a fastball on the outside corner for strike. 1 for 4 last night for Beltran. He had an RBI, he had a double, he had a run scored, and a sacrifice fly.
Now the A's are hoping with the shift on the right side that Beltran tries to pull the ball and hits it on the ground, and it's why Kendall Graveman has to have the sinker working to get the ground ball. He's looking for a double play now. Boy,
Beltran's been around a long time.
Yes, he has.
He came up with the Royals as a youngster. He was a terrific player. He'll be 39 years old on Sunday.
About the postseason he had with the Astros when they were in the National League. I mean, everything he hit was hard and mostly a home run.
He's had a big contract with the Mets. Bounced around a little bit. A couple good years with the Cardinals. He's still very dangerous.
I think he's still looking for a World Series ring too.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
I think it was.
Yeah, I don't think he's there. Did he get one with St. Louis?
I was just trying to wonder if he did, because it might have been that he got it there in the last one that they won.
Well, he got traded to the Giants in 2011. He played a couple of months there, and then 2012 he signed with the Cardinals. A couple years there.
Yeah, they lost to the Red Sox. Thanks.
Went to the World Series, but Cardinals lost to the Red Sox. It's a long list of great players that not have a World Series ring.
Well, when in doubt, talk about it. And a crucial pitch, 2-2, and Stephen Vogt did go out to talk to Kendall Graveman.
It's tapped towards second. Out at second. Simeon's throw to first. Not quite in time. Trent can still get down the line fairly well.
Well, it helps for Beltran, as you mentioned, gets down the line well, but he's hit for the left side. Switch hitter against the right-hander, so batting left. And see what the slide by Castro, if he changes direction, he goes straight in, right? Doesn't even make the bag. That's always a critical part, but he knows if he goes out and deviates and goes after Simeon, it could be called a double play. He does not, and he is looking for one here.
Teixeira takes a strike. Yankees have really been struggling offensively. They're 2 for their last 43 with runners in scoring position, and that includes the Beltran at bat. He started the season scoring runs, but have slowed down. Overall, they've scored 51 runs in their first 12 games.
They will do much better, as we talked about. They're too good of a club. Here's your liftoff there by Mark Teixeira. I mentioned last night he looked like he's thinner. And remember, last year he changed his whole diet. And I asked him about it. He said gluten-free and dairy-free. And he said he's exactly the same weight, but he looks like he probably lost 20 pounds. But he said he feels better, never felt better, and changed it completely. And that's why he wants to play another 5 years.
Yes, he did go around, and that's a huge strikeout for Graveman. Ran it right in Teixeira.
That's a cut fastball, right last movement. I think Teixeira realized it about right there and tried to hold up his swing. And you watch the top head of the bat. That's what the third base umpire saw, and that's why he called it, even though Teixeira brought it back so quickly. I think Mark knew it. Huge strikeout. So as we showed in our open, strikeouts from Kendall Graveman, ground ball pitcher, and trying to get another big out here.
And that would be Brian McCann, 286, couple of home runs. Quiet last night, 0 for 5 and 0 for his last 15. Ellsbury at third, Beltran at first.
Coughlin playing next to Reddick.
So 2-1 to Brian McCann.
Well, McCann tries to pull everything, and we'll see what he does on this 2-1. See if it's a good sinker away, and he tries to pull.
So 2-2 now as he chases that pitch in the dirt.
You know what I think this is, guy? We saw it last night, and again with McCann's at bat, and Graveman hopeful of getting out of this tough inning, but they're so anxious to get the run in. They're swinging a lot of pitches, and what McCann did last night against Surkamp, swinging at 3 pitches on a 3-2 that all 3 were out of the strike zone.
Good take there, and the count is full.
It's a backdoor cut fastball that Kendall Graveman has really been working hard on, especially against the lefties. Throw the back door, because he can throw a front door against the right-handers, but it's a pitch that he wants the hitters to freeze and for the pitch to catch the outside corner, and that one went down too much.
Alonso now right behind Beltran at first. Quick look at the A's and how they line up defensively. Davis, Burns, and Reddick in the outfield. Valencia, Simeon, Coughlin, and Alonso in the infield. Vogt is your catchers. Fourth start of the year at second base for Chris Coughlin. Lowry's DHing tonight. Runner goes, pitches inside, he walked him. So now the bases are loaded for Alex Rodriguez.
When Alex Rodriguez was in his prime, I don't think you would have seen the hitter in front of him get a 3-2 breaking pitch. And I think Stephen Vogt might have gone out and said, you know, it's 3-2, let's not give in to him. And Alex Rodriguez is still dangerous. He's driven in runs and hit a lot of home runs. But this is simply a matter of starting fresh with a new hitter, even though he's the veteran. Forget about the numbers. He's always a threat.
First pitch, a little bit inside. Rodriguez last year hit 33 home runs and knocked in 86 runs. He played in 151 games, most of them as the DH. Swing and a miss.
And that was after missing all of 2014. Yep. Suspended for the year, came back, and there was a lot of question marks about him. But there's a pitch, slight movement, but just down the middle. What you saw last night, first pitch tonight, trying to go inside with a fastball to Alex and see if they can be successful, but don't make a mistake.
So 27 pitches for Graveman. Not good ratio. Swing and a miss. Looks like Rodriguez helped Graveman there.
Now this sinker looks good, and then it disappears.
Ellsbury at third, Beltran at second, McCann at first.
That's where you like to have about a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, elevated about letter high. Ooh.
At the knee, strike three call. And a good pitch. Alex Rodriguez knew it, and the Yankees leave the bases loaded in the bottom of the first.
Time now for the Nissan keys of the game. Continue the successful road trip. Good start last night. The A's winning in extra innings, a one-run game. And with Kendall Graveman throwing a lot of pitches in the first inning, bullpen be strong because they're going to be needed maybe again tonight. See, just trying to think. Dahl was not used last night.
No
Liam
Dahl.
Hendricks was not used.
No Hendricks.
And other guys an inning apiece with the exception of Fernando. So could be used again. And it's the old saying, I think, Kite, that you got a chance to win. You do what you can tonight and worry about tomorrow.
I agree with that. Bullpen threw a total of 70 pitches last. 5 1/3 innings, 70 pitches. Oh, 2 to Danny Valencia. Fastball outside at 97.
Let's look at the glove of here. It's native Aldi, and there's always a concern if a pitcher throws a splitter fanning the glove. If he holds it right out in front, look how wide the glove is. He can put his hand in, sets it up with a split finger fastball grip. There's always the concern of fanning a glove where they have to try to get the grip. It means the glove kind of opens up a little bit.
Good pitch there, right on the outside corner. Valencia called out on strikes, 1 away. And that gets us to our forward right choice. Last night, Fernando Rodriguez worked the 9th inning and the 10th inning. Huge play right there. We're going to talk about that play just a little bit. But ended up going 2 innings, gave up a hit, a couple of strikeouts. He got the win. And it was all part of the A's bullpen. 5 1/3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. Terrific. Fernando Rodriguez got the win.
Yes, he did. Deserving.
I thought it was interesting, Ray, and I heard when we were at home on the bus last night, there were a couple people talking about the Ellsbury caught stealing, which was a big play, right? I mean, you got thrown out, but they got a little deeper into it, and they talked about what Fernando Rodriguez did holding Ellsbury on, and it was very interesting. And I asked Bob Melvin about it today, and he said, we called from the dugout. We kind of tell the pitcher what to do, hold longer, step off. And he said Fernando Rodriguez executed holding Ellsbury on perfectly.
Yeah.
Because he varied it.
Exactly.
And what the manager said was it made a big difference because Ellsbury did not get as good a jump as he usually does, and they threw him out. And he credited Fernando Rodriguez for executing the simple play of holding the runner on. And he thinks it was a big part of them being able to throw him out.
And we always
wouldn't think about that. I mean, you know,
right?
But he just did it right.
Yeah, but Ricky Henderson, the greatest, would always say, if the pitcher doesn't do that, I'm always going to steal on the pitcher anyway. But what Fernando did, and it's a great point, because when you vary your moves,
he did something different every
time. And so Ellsbury, a great base runner and base stealer, could not figure him out because he kept changing.
It was just simply he held it a long time and then stepped off. Held it a long time and then went home.
Exactly. And we talked last night that when Fernando uses a slide step, he doesn't lose anything off his fastball.
Sure.
He still throws 95 plus.
Or maybe you hold it a long time and then throw to first.
Exactly.
Well, there you've done 3 different things right there.
Exactly. And all the base runner wants is some consistency so he can go on that move or whatever move you do make. But another thing, they have the clocks and stopwatches. If you're looking at 1, 3, 4 something for a pitcher and a catcher with a good arm. But Fernando, I asked Bob Melvin too about Stephen Vogt's quickness, and he said the pitcher is about 1.05 releasing the ball. So he was way ahead, and that allowed Stephen Vogt to catch, throw quickly, and for Simeon to make a great play on the other end.
So another nice inning for Nate Eovaldi. It goes 3 up, 3 down in the top of the second. Bottom of the second coming up. No score. AAA, what does your insurance do when it's not doing insurance? It should do more. Go to AAA.com for details. Yankee crowd still filing in. 31,000 last night.
What was the train that Robert had come in on? Did Bob tell you what train that was? The 3 or the 4 or the 5 or the 6?
I knew what it was. I said it's the 4 train, and I put up 4 fingers. And Bob, our stage manager, didn't know what I was doing, and he lives here.
And he thought you.
So I don't know how he gets to this ballpark.
He probably thought you were intentionally walking him. Put up 4 fingers.
Yeah, he's not allowed to drive, so I don't know how he gets here.
So when your brother comes in, he has the privilege of working with Bob as well?
Yeah, yeah. Bob's our stage manager here in New York. And he's okay at his job. He's not great. But he entertains us, that's for sure. And Headley is called out on strikes. It's 3 strikeouts for Kendall Graveman.
You want to see a great backdoor cut fastball, and to really describe it, it's the backdoor. He's going outside with a cutter. He's throwing it to cut it just to the outside corner. Stephen Vogt's there. Umpire loves it. Headley gave up on it. And there's your backdoor cut fastball. The front door to a right-hander from a right-handed pitcher. They go inside, try to catch the inside corner. But Kendall Graveman worked all spring on that backdoor cut fastball, trying to get it working perfection, and just throw a great one to Headley.
It's been a strikeout pitch tonight.
Yes, it has. To both lefties and righties. So it's working both sides.
Didi Gregorius steps in. Gregorius hitting in the 8th spot. An interesting note for you.
Yep.
Went ahead in the count. Graveman throws the cutter 42% of the time. Now look down at the bottom. Overall, he only throws it 30% of the time. So it becomes his pitch when he's ahead in the count. That one down the right field line. If it's fair, it's a home run. It is, and it is. So Gregorius drops one in the seats down the right field line.
Literally dropped it in the seats down the right field line. That just barely. And that's one of the dangers of facing lefties here. And what you try to do is see the inside target. It's on the inside, but he opened up quickly. And remember, he swung at the previous pitch, a breaking ball in the dirt. So he was obviously looking fastball, and he got one there. And it went right down the line. Josh Reddick knew, and his angle, that it was going to go in the seats, and just about the second row, 314 feet away.
Hicks swings at the first pitch. So 2 outs here in the second inning. The Yankees now have a 1-0 lead.
And the first game that Graveman pitched in this season was against the White Sox. He was a couple of days removed from the flu. And he gave up a 2-run home run opposite field to Jose Abreu. After walking a batter, that was in the 6th inning, and he just too weak and gave out. Unfortunately, the A's did not score a lot of runs in that game.
Top of the order in Ellsbury. He doubled in the first, but was stranded. The Yankees' original lineup tonight had Brett Gardner in it. It had Ellsbury leading off and Gardner hitting second. But Gardner was scratched with a stiff neck. Yankees like to do the Ellsbury Gardner at the top. Lots of speed, a lot of base stealing ability. Both hit left-handed. Sinker there. So 2-2 the count. Joe Girardi. He always has a pretty good game face going.
Yes, he does. He's a very good manager and respects his players, and a lot of that comes from having been a very good catcher and player himself. I always think about who wears number 28. And that number is not being, let's see, 28 for the Yankees. It's not being worn by anybody. And I say that because Joe Girardi wears 27. And he started to wear number 27 when the Yankees won their 27th World Championship. He's been wearing 27 for a long time. Yeah. He says actually too long. So you figure nobody's going to wear number 28 because the Yankees win. And Girardi's going to want the number the next year.
So Ellsbury is going to be awarded first base on a catcher's interference call. How about that?
That is rare.
So he's aboard. And that's an error on Stephen Vogt, right?
Yes, it is. E2. No at bat for the hitter.
So Ellsbury is aboard. So the A's charged with an error, and now Castro hits. The last time the Yankees won was 2009. They won the World Series in this ballpark's first year. So they christened the ballpark in the best way possible. Valencia will go to second. Side retired. So the catcher's interference. No damage done. A home run, though, for the Yankees by Didi Gregorius. So 1-0 New York after 2. Our game here in New York. You will not miss a moment. Home of the authentic Sharks fan, CSN California. So that's coming up tonight. Sharks Kings from the Shark Tank. Right here in CSN California. Again, don't worry, folks. We'll get this game over with for you in time, and you can watch the Sharks tonight. Take care of you.
Let's see, last night 11 innings is what, 3:30, so right on schedule. That was the 11 innings.
Drop the puck.
Yeah.
Good luck to the Sharks.
Yep.
Good luck to the Warriors tomorrow night. They will be in Houston with a 2-0 lead.
And we hope it stops raining. It's supposed to continue at least through today.
Oh, really?
Tomorrow.
Still
yes,
raining?
It's still raining a little bit. Yeah, it's. So let's hope they can get there first of all and be able to play when they do get there.
2-1 to Chris Davis. Davis, Alonso, and Simeon, the bottom 3 in the A's order. A's have a hit. Burns led off the game with a base hit, but he was picked off. It was a good fastball, 98 miles an hour. So Davis steps out, now back in. He was 0 for 5 last night with 3 strikeouts. Chase that high fastball. That is a tough pitch to hit if you're facing Nate Eovaldi.
99. Well, you elevate. That's a tough pitch to go up and get. And it's Davis. Not much of a stride and just blew it by. Full moon cap above right field. That's good. Yes, it does.
First pitch is high to Yonder Alonso. You can see the flags. They're whipping pretty good now, so the wind will be picking up a little bit. High above the stadium. Alonso at 143 with a couple of RBIs. 1 for 3 last night.
Is the camera moving or the moon?
That's a fair question.
The moon doesn't look like it's moving, but that shot we just had looked like it was kind of heading towards right center.
Three 3-0 to Yonder Alonso, and that one right down the middle.
That was not a BP fastball. Get me over 3-0. That's a 97-mile-an-hour right down the middle, just in case. Had a green light as Marcus Semien did last night.
Full shift on for Alonso. Alonso beat the shift last night. He just bounced one right to third, and it just bounced right into left field for a hit. McCann sets up outside. Ball's hit hard to Teixeira. Outs here in the top of the third. And now Semien steps up.
And I said to the hitter coming up, who wears number 10, I said, "Hey, number 10, what's your name?" And he said, "Marcus Semien." I said, "Thank you. I just wanted to find out." And that's what he said. I said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Absolutely. That's what I've always been called."
And that's what we're going to call him.
Yeah, exactly what he wants to be called.
Thanks for checking that one.
Great swing last night by Marcus on the 3-0. Just a classic, and we showed it in our open. Just a great swing. Didn't try to do too much. And it's a lot on this young man, and he has excelled defensively and offensively, and I think he's found a home.
Yep. He's an easy young man to root for. That's
He
for
is.
sure.
He's a great young man. You're right.
Shows bunt, takes a strike. 1-1 the count. 10 hits in 42 at bats so far for Semien.
Marcus was moving on that pitch. He was asking Corey Blazer if it's a strike. Good cut or slider that was thrown very hard by Eovaldi.
Good one there on the outside corner. Now 1-2. Just 36 pitches so far for Nate Eovaldi, so the A's will have to start making him work a little bit at some point.
10 in the first, 11 in the second, and just mowing through the order. So it's important for Kendall Graveman to keep the Yankees at bay, keep them there right now with just a 1-0 lead. Try to stay close as they did last night.
Got him with a slider outside corner. So a couple of strikeouts for Eovaldi in the third. Bottom of the third coming up. 1-0 New York. quote of the game. Mark Canha on playing off the bench so far this year. Mark says, honestly, I'm just happy to be in the major leagues, whether it's on the bench or playing. A happy camper doing both and rooting for the Boys. But once I'm out there, I'm going to get after it. He does do that. He was the hero last night with the 11th inning single.
And it's important for players in his situation. Remember last year, of course, when Canha came to the ball club, it was Rule 5, which means the Yankees had to keep him for 5 months actually before. And he played so well. But there were a couple of players on the disabled list to start the season, so we got a lot of playing time. But as the old saying goes, you're upset if you're not playing, but you always say the right things. And I think Mark Canha is in that category. He
wants to play.
Yeah, and he talked to us last night about, he's just ready and whatever. But a big hit last night. He noticed it was a slider. He corrected me, which I'm glad he did, but it looked like a fastball. He said, fortunately, it wasn't thrown as hard as a fastball would have been. It was a slider that didn't slide, stayed right in the middle of the plate, but meant it reduced the velocity, and he was all over it 0-2.
Coughlin has it. Coughlin to first, 1 away. Well, there's going to come a time, maybe soon, who knows, where Mark Canha's going to start playing.
Absolutely, I agree. And he was kind of thought to be a great hitter against left-handers last year, but he only hit his first home run as a right-hander against a left-handed pitcher came very late in the season. He's going to be fine.
Yeah, he actually hit righties better than lefties last year, although I think he's going to be just fine against left-handers as well. Two 2-0 to Teixeira, who struck out in first. The Yankees had a major scoring opportunity in that first inning. They had first and third and 1 out and could not score. Teixeira in the game last night was 0 for 3 with a couple of walks.
Good cutter again.
Same pitch, huh?
Same pitch he caught or struck him out. And Teixeira looking more of a four-seam fastball to try to hit in the upper deck in right field. There's the commitment, and there's a swing over the good cutter. Does he do it again?
Got him. Nice pitch on the outside corner. 4 strikeouts for Graveman.
It's a split change he throws, and right down the middle, and just a perfectly thrown pitch, and 79 miles per hour, not the 3-2 fastball, and Teixeira knew it.
He did. Two outs for Brian McCann, who walked in the first inning.
I mentioned to Brian McCann, and I said, we were down at my partner, and I called your first game. He says, you were there. That's right. John Smoltz. And he said, I was so lucky. He said, I was only supposed to be there 3 or 4 days. Huh. He's been in the big leagues ever since.
Never went back.
Because it's nice to have a pitcher, and John Smoltz said it after the game. He said Brian McCann did a great job catching him, and he became kind of a personal catcher for Smoltz. And I mean, when you have a future Hall of Famer endorsing you as a catcher, you're going to stick around. And so I said, yeah, Cap and I were there. We saw you first game, full beard and everything.
I faintly remember that.
Yeah. Well, I remember the beard. And he said, yeah, I had to come to the Yankees. I knew it was gone. Could not keep it here.
3-2 the count now to slugging catcher.
Yeah.
Major League history, catchers with 20 or more home runs in a season at least 9 times. Piazza, Bench, Berra, McCann, and the late great Gary Carter.
Yeah. So you have Yogi playing here. as well as Brian McCann, Piazza, Carter with the Mets, Johnny Bench. He could hit him anywhere. All his career in Cincinnati.
And another strikeout for Kendall Graveman. We're up 3-down inning with a pair of Ks. So we'll move into the fourth. Yankees 1, A's nothing.
Talk about, and that's what's better than taking your family to the ballpark on a Friday night, not at Yankee Stadium, at the Coliseum. With the Friday family pack, you get 4 Plaza level tickets, 4 Coliseum hot dogs, 4 medium sodas, 4 bags of peanuts, and just $60 at every Friday home game. Find out at athletics.com/family pack, subject to availability. First Cop, I think he probably paid a lot more than $60 for 4 where he's sitting. He may be eating everything.
I'm looking for him. There he is.
Yeah, you see.
He's right behind the camera well on the far end of the A's dugout.
He stands out, doesn't he?
He's so happy right now.
I think that was a great comment last night that you made. The A's colors on the road. Yeah. You pick them out, and there he is.
Just look around, and you can see him.
That's down in the high rent district too.
He snuck down there. And I say that only because A's fans, they'll get it done. He figured out a way to get down there.
But you have to jump over a couple of rails and try to avoid the security guards that are down there, figuring that if you're in those seats, you better have a ticket. But we'll see.
Just keep the food coming.
We better go tell him about the family pack on Friday, since he likes to eat so much. He's got a chance to buy 4 tickets himself and get all the goodies, sitting by himself.
Maybe he'll follow us to Toronto.
Yeah.
2-1 to Burns, who singled on the first pitch of the game and then was picked off. Drives this one left center, and it's going to get down. And Burns is going to try for 2. The throw to second base offline, and Billy Burns with a leadoff double.
Have a night, Billy. And hope Evaldo doesn't have the good move at second for a pickoff. Fastball away, slash and run, and ball slicing away from Ellsbury, and kind of went after it. And by the time he caught it and had to spin around, because being a left-handed thrower, and Billy Burns did not hesitate. Big turn around first base, but started to slide head first, decided didn't have to, and try to shut it down.
So he's got his first double. And a great opportunity for the A's to tie it up as Coughlin steps up. So the A's have to execute here offensively.
See that no look by Evaldo. Got the sign. Didn't even look back to Billy Burns, who's a threat to steal, but they do change it. And a description about Fernando Rodriguez last night. Eovaldi, the quick move to pick off Billy Burns in the first. But while he did not look back on the first pitch, he probably will now as he looks back to Burns.
Well, now's a good opportunity too, if you're watching at home, to something to watch for from a pitcher. Does he change up that the different looks?
Well, and if a pitcher stands and never looks back to second, you think, well, is he going to continue to do that? Because if he is, and he continues to do that, I'm going to get a big jump and try to steal third. But pitchers normally will be reminded by the catcher, or they do it one time. Next time, though, they'll take a look and maybe a double look. So they can change it up with a runner at second, just like at first.
See, that time he didn't really look back at Burns. He just kind of looked almost like he was looking at Ron Washington.
Peripherally, he looked back almost like at first base. But I think what happens a lot of times, a pitcher, especially with a runner in scoring position, is going to concentrate so much on the hitter, try to make the pitches to prevent the hitter and the following hitters to drive from driving in the run, and he may lose the concentration on the runner on second, and Billy Burns is a threat to steal.
This will pop foul. Just over to our left, a couple sections. Right underneath the sports writers part of the press box, which is right next to us. Some stadiums have the sports writers above the broadcast booth or below. In this case, they're right next to us.
Right now, with a good fastball thrown by Eovaldi, 2 strikes, although Coghlan would like to pull the ball. Take whatever you can get, even if it's a base hit to left field.
Drives this one right center, and nobody's going to get it. Burns had to wait to make sure it fell. He's going to round third. He's going to come in to score, and this ball game is tied at 1 thanks to the Chris Coghlan double.
A hanging split finger fastball. It went soft after throwing the 98-mile-an-hour fastball that Coghlan fouled to the left side. And a very, very good swing by Chris Coghlan to not only get him over, but get him in. Look at that. He took a lot off, and McCann had to go back towards the middle of the plate. That's just a mistake by the pitcher. And Coghlan took advantage of it. Billy Burns, nobody out. And you might wonder, well, why was he going back to second? Nobody out. You want to tag, at least get to third. If there's one out, you definitely want to go halfway so you're not worried about scoring. Fortunately, this ball goes all the way to the wall. And with Burns' speed, he was able to score after really going back to second base.
So now Reddick steps in.
But with one out, you never want to go back to bag, because if the ball drops, more times than not, you're not going to be able to score. And we have seen that too often. Just knowing the situation, and Billy Burns did it correctly. Got on second and was thinking about at least tagging if the ball was caught.
Coghlan gets his 4th RBI of the year. Two now to Reddick with Valencia to follow, so the big shots will get a chance to knock in a run here. Reddick struggling a little bit, 2 for his last 18.
Josh paid a visit to the MLB studios today.
I saw that.
He said he had a great time, great facilities, and when we were in town 2 years ago, I was in that same place as I was there representing the A's for the 2014 Matt Chapman draft. Beautiful studios, and Josh spent this morning there. Was on with your good friend Matt Vasgersian, a big A's fan.
Love Matt.
Yeah.
Wait, so you picked Matt Chapman? Nice job.
What I did.
Well,
I got the call, but I was yeah.
But
yeah.
you, I mean,
yeah, it's pretty good, wasn't it?
That's a good draft by.
And then he was up in the booth with us,
Yes,
and then off to the minor leagues. And man, what a spring he had! And we're going to see him sooner than later at the big league level.
He and Brito both in Double-A, both a little bit of a slow start for those two. Keeping an eye on their statistics, but
It's a big
right.
big letdown after spending all of spring training and having a successful
Right.
spring training with big club. And
I'm just excited that he was your draft pick. He's the guy you picked.
well, I was sitting there and they said, hey, A's are on the clock, and so got a call from Eric Cabot, I think it was. Hey, pick Chapman. Okay, I still writing down Matt Chapman. Gave it to Commissioner Bud Selig. He made the announcement. But it was nice. So I got to announce the second draft pick, but it was pretty impressive to see that, like the Studio 42, where they have the whole setup and all the. I mean, there was a ton of former Major League players, Hall of Famers, who were there to represent their clubs.
McCann knocks it down, throws back to second. Coughlin, as he was starting to retreat to second base, he slipped, and that's why McCann threw it down there.
Splitter in the dirt. Great job of McCann. Just a self-defense and turned himself, and the ball was close enough to him, but a quick throw to second, not enough time. As Coughlin, once he saw the ball hit the dirt, thought if it's gotten past McCann, he was going to head to third. Look at Coughlin looking for the ball, seeing where it went in center field. If it did not. Fortunately, stayed on the back.
Reddick bounced back to the pitcher in the first inning.
He's trying to pull the ball, and it'd be nice if he could pull it into the seats, but at least get Coughlin to third base.
It's jammed there, breaks his bat, so he'll need some new lumber.
Well, Josh Reddick is a student of the game. He knows a lot about baseball, and he's not afraid if you say something to him, he can correct you if you're wrong. But the one thing he does know, that he has not had a lot of success playing at Yankee Stadium. He said there's something about this place that, and the numbers prove it. So he's trying to forget about all those negative numbers and do something special in this at bat against a tough pitcher.
And he flares one to left. That'll work. And they're going to wave home Coughlin. Here comes the throw to the plate, and the ball is not caught by McCann. Coughlin scores. A's lead 2-1. The ball clearly beat Coughlin. It also looked like the ball on the skip really stayed down on McCann, and he could not field it cleanly.
Well, great job, and you're right, flaring the ball, flare to left field, and I don't think Ron Washington saw Coughlin going back to second, because that's how close Hicks was. But McCann might have been trying to catch and get back to the plate before he actually caught the ball. Right there, looking a little bit, didn't have the ball, and went back, and it was nice from our vantage point to see that the ball was laying on the ground. Coughlin's got to be saying, wait a minute. But see, as a third base coach, you don't see what the base runner does, and Coughlin clearly was going back to make sure the ball was going to drop in. Fortunately, it did, and fortunately, it was a bad throw on top of it.
So Reddick gets the RBI. So he never caught it clean.
No, but tried to scoop and go back, and you're right. He did not catch it. Probably the last little hop was a short hop and was not able to come up with it cleanly.
Reddick ends up at second, so good base running there. And Valencia shot, base hit. Reddick will go to third, and Wash will stop him.
That wasn't that was a bad throw from Ellsbury.
So 4 straight hits against Nate Eovaldi, and he's going to get a visit. Pitching coach Larry Rothschild's going to come out.
And if there's ever a time for a pitching coach to scratch the head, it would be now for Larry Rothschild. But Ellsbury, with this throw and way off line, kind of tried to guide the ball a little bit. It was up the first baseline. Teixeira did cut, or at least knock down, but Ron Washington was not going to send Reddick on that one. There it is.
Huh.
It's just one of those things that he knows it. But tonight, he'll take that base hit, ball well off the plate, flattered to left field. But here's a pitcher, Kite, in Eovaldi. 9 batters he faced the first 3 innings. He picks off Burns, and then this inning, it's just like he's a different pitcher.
Yep, I agree. Hard to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a pitcher that throws 97, 98, it's got to frustrate a manager pitching coach and wonder what is going on. I mean, just cannot believe sometimes what a pitcher's thinking. And really, he's gotten hurt, especially with the splitter, that he's not throwing as hard as he did in the first inning, first couple of innings.
First pitch to Vogt, up and away. Valdi last year had a good record. He was 14-3. His ERA was a shade over 4.20. 27 starts.
Yeah. Great notes, guys, because that's tremendous. That's fourth inning, 10.80 ERA.
And now 2-0. Good take by Stephen Vogt.
Yeah, and I think going through the batting order, that splitter, they see it down, and you talk to hitters, they'll say if they see the tumbling on the split finger fastball and it's starting the knees, they're not aggressive in swinging because they know it's going to tumble out of the strike zone.
Yeah, he was rolling along through the first 3 innings. Stephen Vogt skies one into the right field corner and into the seats. So 2-1 the count now as everybody returns to their defensive positions. Reddick at third, Valencia at first. This time Vogt goes the other way, down the left field.
Vogt just kind of expanding his strike zone, thinking he took a good splitter to take it at 2-0, then back-to-back fastballs. And knowing that Eovaldi throws hard, he's trying to gear it up a little bit quicker. First one he pulled foul, second one just a little bit late.
Ellsbury over into left center. He's got it. Reddick will tag. Reddick will hustle home, and it's a sacrifice fly for Stephen Vogt to extend the A's lead to 3-1.
Reddick's happy. Stephen Vogt's happy. Stephen Vogt, very good job of kind of closing the front side. Pitch was down. Probably another splitter that was not thrown that great. You know, these coaches, especially Ron Washington III, they're very astute when it comes to knowing the strengths of the outfielder's arms. And I think they've shown in this inning, two of them can't throw. Beltran at 39, his arm is probably doing a little bit. But
so action in the bullpen. Kirby Yates starts to throw.
Number 8 on the Yankees for the late great Yogi Berra, and number 8 on Jed Lowry back in an A's uniform.
And coming off a 4-hit game last night.
Right. Thinking last night, Cap, we were showing the number 8, and you mentioned Yogi Berra, his number with the Yankees, and thinking of Joe Garagiola, who passed away recently. They were great friends growing up in the St. Louis area. Joe, of course, with the Diamondbacks, and the press box area is called the Joe Garagiola press box. So the number 8 worn by the Yankees in honor of the great Yogi Berra.
Dropped and dropped again, and they're calling him safe.
No control. And
so it was Headley who dropped the ground ball, and then when he flipped it to Gregorius dropped it. Interesting play all around. Not just one mistake, but 2 by the Yankees.
Well, Doug Eddings a second. There's one drop, and then Eddings had to determine, did he have control? No, he did not. That ball hit his pocket of his glove and bounced out. Remember last year in Kansas City with the shift, and Brett Lawrie was at first, and Moustakas had to throw to the shortstop Escobar, and he went into him hard. And it's similar here. How rare is it for a shortstop to have to cover on a ground ball hit to the third base side, left side? And that's probably what was confusing for both of them.
Yeah, Gregorius is really all of a sudden taking the pivot like a second baseman.
Exactly. And here's Headley. He's a third baseman playing shortstop. The shortstop Gregorius is at second trying to turn. He never had the ball in his glove. That's a good call by Doug Eddings.
So it's an E6. So it's on Gregorius on the miss. But that too, what we saw there, that's another reason why if you can leave a defender at his natural spot, it makes a difference.
That's a great point.
Instead of sliding everybody over, that's why some teams take the third baseman and put him in right field when the shift is on to keep the shortstop at the shortstop spot. Hits the bag, bounces up in the air. Headley's throw, not in time, kicks away from Teixeira. And right now, it's a little bit of a circus for the Yankees on the infield.
Hey, but Chris Davis said, I'm ready to go now. I hit a ball and it hits the bag.
That could be the one that
That's the one. Reddick hits a bloop to left field. Chris Davis crushed it. Probably could have been a double. Instead, it hits the bag, goes straight up. And said maybe Headley would have caught it and doubled him up, but Headley trying to bare hand and a short throw off the kneecap of Teixeira. I don't think Headley was not going to get to it, so it would have been a double, but at least for Chris Davis, he gets a hit, hits the bag. All things are good.
What an inning, and there's still only one out. Alonso skies with foul, and getting back to the ball to Headley. I mean, that probably would have been a double play.
Yes,
the ball that Lowry hit,
absolutely, and should have been.
That would have been out of the inning, and now the bases are loaded and still only one out. One to Yonder Alonso. Swing and a miss. So 0-2.
Cap, you know, Keith Lippman, director of player development for the Athletics, was telling me in the spring that for the minor league system, they were getting 5 shifts to be able to implement. And a lot of it is so that whenever you had a play like that, you know who's going to be covering. You don't have all the confusion.
Sure.
And to your point about not changing 2 guys in position, just change one.
Change one.
Exactly. That could have made a huge difference. But because they're doing so much at the major league level, they're trying now to at least show it at the minor league level to get them ready when they come to the big leagues.
It seems like you'd want to leave your middle infielders closest, leave them around the bag.
That's right.
And if the third baseman has to be the guy that runs across the diamond, well, then so be it. He would then be the only guy out of position.
And didn't we see Headley in right field last night? Was it last night we hit? There was somebody that, because it said it was 5-3.
So many shifts.
Yeah.
0-2 pitch. Really close, but called the ball. 97 miles an hour. .32 pitches this inning for Eovaldi. Still only 1 out.
37 in the first 3.
This one's driven in the air, left field. Hicks, he's got it. Hicks will throw home. A good throw, and he is out.
Wow.
My goodness, what a throw by Aaron Hicks.
They're going to take a look at it. Bob Melvin coming out and saying, let's take a look. He's going to check to see if his third baseman's okay, but a strong throw by Hicks. Oh, what a shot. Did he get his hand in first?
Yeah, Valencia trying to get that left hand in there. And he's out.
Yeah, he never got to it.
What a throw, and that's how the inning ends. Crazy inning. The A's score 3 times. We saw, quite frankly, a little bit of everything, but this is how it ended. And it was a great throw.
Strong throw.
But watch Danny Valencia as he pops up and comes up limping, and he's out of the game.
Like he grabbed his left hamstring or left knee.
Yeah.
Something. See if you can see as he.
See, he is out. And then right here he did jump up.
Yeah, the left leg. And then he put his hand behind his left leg in the hamstring area. Right there.
Well, he's out of the game.
Yeah. And so is the DH.
So Chris Coughlin is now at third base. And Jed Lowry, who's the designated hitter, is now at second base. So the DH is now gone.
And this is early. I mean, we've seen it late in the game.
Yeah, so the pitcher spot is now Valencia's spot, which is the cleanup spot.
Yeah.
You can keep up with all that. So it's a 3-1 A's lead, as that was quite an inning. Yankees defense not good, and think of the McCann not been able to handle that throw on the play at Coughlin at the plate when he was out by about 10 feet. That was a big play. Reddick hustling over, and it's into the seats.
You know, just thinking about the Hicks throw on Coughlin, he might have been shocked because he looked up and he had to see Coughlin just rounding third and go, oh, he's running, and then all of a sudden panic sets in. But with the sac fly, he knew
the guy was
going to be tagging, and knew Valencia's going to be, and he got behind the ball, which an outfielder should do. Got behind it, came running in, and made a perfect one-hop throw. Exactly what a catcher wants. So the A's caught a lot of breaks in the top half of the inning. They helped them score the 3 runs.
3-2 to Alex Rodriguez. Hit hard. Pops off the glove of Lowry, and A-Rod is aboard. And he's going to get a base hit.
Kendall Graveman's got to have a good inning, get the club back in the dugout. This Yankees team does not need to be awakened because they've not been scoring a lot. Did not want to give them the opportunity. Hey, Jed, take a half a day off. You know, DH, and oops, you're in the game.
Get in there.
Kendall Graveman might be excited because he's now a hitter. Hitting in the middle of the line.
He is.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And he's got a keen eye. He's been thinking that, hey, this is National League style baseball. I'm a hitter.
Headley struck out looking in the second inning. There's a strike, 1-1 the count. Gregorius to follow here in the bottom of the 4th inning. I don't know, Ray, in all the years that we've been coming here, I've never heard the crowd so quiet in 2 games.
That's true.
Last night, it was just a very, very quiet audience, and same thing tonight.
I asked a gentleman down in the dugout, one of the Yankees, and I said, how many season tickets holders do they have? And he said around 30,000, which is great because you're guaranteed 2.4 million plus.
Yep, that's right.
Because those are all sold tickets.
Flip to first, double play. So Lowry, Simeon, Alonso get a big 4-6-3 double play.
But Alex Rodriguez, a 3-1, kind of chopped off first base like he was going to run and actually slowed him down. He was not going to get to second anyway. And then getting out of the way was Simeon coming across the bag and a quick throw to first. And see, Alex took off like he was going to go on the 3-1, then stopped. And then started to go after Simeon, then realized the rule, I better not. And had to also get down because Simeon was going to cut him in half with the throw. And that's what an infielder should do. The guy stands up.
Here's Didi Gregorius, who takes a first pitch strike.
So Kendall Graveman gave up a home run to this young man, but other than that, he's been a ground ball and a strikeout pitcher.
And that's a good pitch.
Exactly what we were hoping he would be. Just did not want the fastball that was left inside too much to leave the yard.
So it'll be interesting, Ray, as this game now goes on, to see how Bob Melvin maneuvers around that cleanup spot. He's got 4 bench players. Leads the majors in ground ball percentage as Kendall Graveman. And he gets a strikeout there. Flip to first, side retired. So a hit, but the double play helps out. 6 strikeouts now for Kendall Graveman, and we're moving to the 5th. A's 3, Yankees 1. Genie together building a better California. How about that?
Times Square, huh?
Square.
Yeah, that is a lot. Look at all that yellow almost yellow cars. Those are called taxis.
Looks like a demolition derby.
It sure does. But that's why all those guys driving those yellow cars, they don't like other people who drive regular cars.
Oh,
get out of my way, please.
Look at Graveman. Bandit goes, where's my helmet? Who's got a helmet for me? I need a helmet. I need a bat.
And he's due up 5th. He's getting ready. And you know, in spring training, of course, this spring, even in National League parks, Bob Melvin was able to utilize his DH, and I don't know a pitcher ever went to the plate in spring training. And if they did, they'd have to stand there like a statue. So getting introduced to kind of like interleague play early. Wow. That's not good.
1-1 pitch, slider, foul back. So, as we thought in watching the replay, a left hamstring strain for Danny Valencia. So those are never fun.
Probably one of the injuries for baseball players the hardest to get to the point where you feel good, because you use your legs for everything.
And you never want to, you're always scared to give that final
that's
push.
Right. I mean, you think of hitting, and if it's the right, it's the push off.
Right field, Beltran drifts back. Shy of the warning track he's got. So let's look again. Valencia being tagged out at home, and again, watch right as he finishes his slide, and he kind of bounces up, and then he grabs that left hamstring. And right about here, you see him come up. Yeah, ouch. So a concern. That's all we can tell you at this point. Top of the order, and Billy Burns single, double, run scored for Burns. Fastball and a good one right on the inside corner. Burns now hitting .308. 12 hits and 39 at bats. A little flare, and that'll fall. And see if Burns tries for 2. He will, and he'll make it easily. 3 for 3 for Billy Burns.
A single, a double, and a double. So that's pretty good. And both times he's gone in like he's going to slide. He may injure his legs. If he'd rather go ahead and slide instead of trying to stop, because that puts a lot of pressure on the legs when that happens. It's a little cut fastball that jammed him. But when you jam Billy Burns, he gets it elevated. That's going to be an easy double for him. I think he realized that time he didn't have to think about sliding, which is good. The previous time he thought he was going to have to. The throw by Ellsbury way offline.
Here's Coughlin. Agree, Ray, that sometimes guys who are hard throwers, and Eovaldi throws 97, 98 miles an hour. Sometimes they have more trouble with the guys who are just contact hitters, who don't have a big swing.
That's right.
Not afraid to just use a short swing almost all the time, like Burns does.
I always believe that power hitters love the mistakes. Throw fastballs, unless they cheat. A lot of times they don't catch up, but you try to fool them with something off speed, that's when they take advantage of. But I did see one time Kingdom. It's never left the booth when McGuire and Canseco came up, because he just waited.
Sure. Randy
Randy Johnson, Mark McGuire, and it happened. If it had been a Kingdom, it might still be circling the earth, because it was crushed. But Mac's fastball and a great swing, perfect connection.
Down the left field line, well foul. So 79 pitches now for Nate Eovaldi. He cruised through the first 3 innings.
They got him at 37 in the first 3, and here he is at the 79.
Beautiful look at Yankee Stadium. We don't call it the new Yankee Stadium anymore. But we decided that it's not the old one.
Well, Babe Ruth didn't play here, so you can't.
He did not.
You can't say the house.
Jeter built this.
That's right.
Just fine. The Yankees just one World Series appearance in the last 12 years. That's appearance. And of course they won it in 2009.
They're going to put the 2 before the 4. Of course, those first 3. See, DiMaggio hit 5th in the order, so he wore number 5. Gehrig 4, hit 4th. And Ruth hit 3rd, so number 3. That's how they kind of gave numbers to players
initially.
Yeah.
Strike 3 called on the outside corner.
Coughlin didn't like it, whether he did like the fact that he couldn't pull the trigger or a little bit off the plate, but I think you just saw he's fired up.
So 2 outs here in the 5th, and Reddick will hit. And he won't. They're going to walk him.
I remember at the beginning of the season against the White Sox how Coughlin would pinch hit and was called out on some pitches and he just didn't get the bat off his shoulder, and he said, me or is it the strike zone? He said, because to me they don't look like strikes, they're being called strikes, and that's the frustrating part. He's upset, and I don't know that he thought that one was a strike, but it's called out anyway.
Well, Graveman is going to hit. And Ray, as you and I kicking this around a little bit, with Valencia coming out of the game, and I think the problem with what is happening here is the fact that your one infielder that really can play second, short, or third is Jed Lowry. That's great, but he was the DH tonight.
Yep.
So that's kind of where the problem comes in. It's sort of bad luck is what it is, that the one guy that you could move around the diamond is the DH tonight, and you have to get him out on the field now, so you lose the DH. That's really kind of where the problem is with now having the pitcher hit.
What do you think this 97-mile-an-hour fastball is going to look like?
First pitch slider.
But when he gets a fastball, and for taking his first major league at bat, look at him waggling the bat like he knows what he's doing. He looks like Jed Lowry the way he's taking the bat and not wearing the double ear flap.
Bounces this one just foul.
Tell you what, he made contact. That's a plus. I think that's the last fastball he's going to see.
Yeah. What are they saying? He's the first pitcher to bat at Yankee Stadium.
Wow. The position players did, but they were used as pitchers.
Yeah, they were.
First starting pitcher.
Starting pitcher. Okay, he gets the slider. He strikes out. So Kendall Graveman will head back to the dugout. A's strand a pair.
Got the elbow guard on.
Yankees won. Protect yourself.
Iconic elephant logo and everyone's favorite mascot Stomper with your very own elephant socks presented by Black Bear Diner. At the A's second Little League Day on Sunday, May the 1st, you can be one of 15,000 fans receive a pair of elephant socks for tickets. And more information, as always, visit athletics.com/promotions or call 877-493-BALL.
Hey, there's some more A's fans.
Maybe they keep their A's hats in their bags, and just in case the A's, when they take the lead, they become A's fans.
Simeon backs up, and on the first pitch, Aaron Hicks is retired. One out here in the bottom of the fifth. A's leading 3-1. Astros and the Rangers playing again tonight. Texas 2, Houston 0 in the second inning in Arlington. Pfister and Cole Hamels. Cole Hamels trying to go to 3-0. Rangers won last night 7-5. Astros 5-9 on the year, so off to a little bit of a slow start. Earlier today in Chicago, the White Sox beat the Angels for the second game in a row, 2-1. Well, the White Sox pitching has been sensational.
The guys back in the studio said they have the #1 bullpen in baseball.
Yep, and #1 ERA overall. In the dirt. Last night, the White Sox shut out the Angels 5-0. Angels had 3 hits. This afternoon, they had 4 hits and scored just 1 run. So the Angels getting shut down in Chicago. One around. Is that cutter again, Ray?
Yes, it is. It's a great cutter. And, you know, when McCann swung at ball 4 when he struck out 2 innings ago, it's almost like a payback, because last night Pineda had that hard slider just like that to the back foot. Had a lot of guys swinging over pitches out of the strike zone, and there's another one.
So 7 strikeouts for Kendall Graveman. Not necessarily a big strikeout guy. Nice pitch there.
But the Hicks fly ball is the first fly ball out for Graveman tonight. Everything else on the ground on the strikeouts, which is good. And prefer to have that type of a fly ball, ground ball, or strikeout versus the home run that Gregorius hit. Kittle's feeling good. I got to swing the bat, huh?
Yep.
Might have to take some lessons from Tim Hudson, who's retired, because down in Alabama, of course, when Kendall Graveman at home takes the mound, they play sweet home Alabama. And Tim Hudson was a good hitter.
Yeah.
He'd love to hit. Kendall Graveman, just his first at bat. So Huddy might give him a call when the game is over, or send him a message and saying it's not as easy as it looks sometimes.
Reach for, poke toward right. Reddick's there. 3 up, 3 down inning for Kendall Graveman. And he's going to take a 3-1 lead in the 6th inning. T-Mobile, get major league coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the last year. A's 3, Yankees 1, top of the 6th inning. Beautiful night in New York.
Cup, we have a new fan down in Scottsdale, Arizona, by the name of Madeline Dempsey. Madeline just turned 1 on Sunday.
I've heard of her.
Yeah.
Sharp little gal out here.
Yeah, and she's a big A's fan. And Lindsay and her husband Scott watching a game, our game, down in Scottsdale. So
she's won already.
She's turned 1 Sunday. So Madeline paying attention to our game. So she's following every word. She's not saying much.
No, that's okay.
But at least she's listening.
Well, I hope she doesn't point out any mistakes we make.
She probably will soon. for me especially.
She'll probably be right, too.
Yeah.
1-1 the count to Vogt, Lowry, and Davis for the A's here. Top of the 6th. Vogt has a ground out and a sacrifice fly. A couple injury updates on the Athletics. Eric Sogard had successful knee surgery today. Don't know when he'll be back.
Well, they're saying at least half the season after the All-Star break.
A shot. That's going to be a hit for Vogt, and it's going to be more as the ball goes to the wall. Vogt hustling for second. A sliding double.
Was there a shift?
There was a shift.
And it's a double? Wow. I mean, he hit this ball hard. Any elevation, it's going to be a home run. Instead, look where the second baseman's playing. It's past him, and then Beltran has to go to the wall to get it and retrieve it, get it back in. Stephen Vogt, we saw him in our open as he was sprinting in the outfield before he started warming up Kendall Graveman. And that's why catchers run sprints in the outfield. You get ready to sprint into second for a double. Leadoff in this inning.
So Vogt, after a hitless night last night, he got a double and a sac fly tonight. Kirby Yates gets up for the second time as Nate Eovaldi is sitting at 92 pitches. Four doubles in this game now for the Athletics. They got 8 hits total. They've out hit the Yankees 8-3. So we wish Eric Sogard the best of luck in his recovery. Hope he gets back in the field soon. And also Henderson Alvarez. That's starting to get interesting, Ray. He's supposed to pitch tonight. He's supposed to have a 45-pitch outing tonight in Stockton.
Which means this is an official rehab assignment. The clock starts tonight. 30 days from now is rehab. Pitchers get 30 days. Position players 20 or 20 games, 30 games. Pitchers longer because they pitch every 5th day, especially as a starter.
0-2 pitch is a swing and a miss by Lowry. That one kind of exploded down. So 6 strikeouts for Nate Eovaldi.
Now, one of the rare times tonight the A's have not executed with the runner at second. That pitch was supposed to be outside, ended up down and in, and Jed trying to protect. See how much McCann had to reach to get back to get the ball.
So 1 out here in the 6th, and that'll bring up Chris Davis. So you mentioned the time frame. So Henderson Alvarez has a month.
Yeah.
And he's going to throw 45 pitches tonight. The A's want him to get to 100 pitches before he pitches in a big league game.
Basically like spring training for him.
So you would. Maybe you increase 15, 20 pitches per appearance. So you figure he's going to have to make 4, maybe. Guessing. Again, we're sort of just kind of kicking this around.
And really depending on how he progresses. If he's better and gets to that magic number a little bit quicker. If he starts at 45, you know, that's pretty good because he's halfway home pretty much in the first outing. But they do start the clock, and as long as they are just pitching at extended spring training, but once they go to a rehab assignment, which is great because he can spend 30 days in the minor leagues, and if it's Stockton, he'll go back and forth. He can get treatment, do whatever at the Coliseum, and just drive up to pitch, and he not stay there. But
April 20th, so figure May 20th, somewhere in that area. He's going to have to be ready to go at that point. And that's kind of what the A's have said all along, mid to late May. But on top of that, Ray, Sean Manaea has pitched well in his first couple starts in AAA, and so has Jesse Hahn.
And Jesse was supposed to pitch last night in the same day that Surkamp pitches, which we talked about. They played a doubleheader today. They took him out after the first 49 pitches, I think. And so then he'll pitch again in his normal turn. I think to be ready to go on Sunday.
So, and the reason we're saying that is there's quality options that are going to be sitting there for the Athletics if needed. Ouch.
Right shoulder for Corey Blazer. He's got like shoulder pads on. You see the shoulder pad, which helps, but it doesn't help. Yeah, it's padded shoulders, but it's be almost like a catcher's chest protector with extension over the shoulders and then down over the chest. But take a blow like that, it doesn't help that much.
To pitch, reach for, hit high and foul.
Still say the newest, and it's been around several years, the rehab, where a player, once he goes on the disabled list, instead of being activated, he can go down and get some at bats at the minor league level. And I think it's great, instead of jumping back at the major league level with these pitchers, especially if you're a hitter, to have to face a pitcher who's in midseason form and you don't take any major league at bats. It's just really like a pinch hitter, a platoon player in a sense.
Yep. So Davis strikes out, back-to-back strikeouts by Eovaldi after Vogt's leadoff double.
Well, maybe Larry Rothschild said something about his fastball, because he has a good one and he's starting to show it. The Graveman, of course, the one fastball that he fouled, then it went back to slider to strike him out. But in this inning, even the ball hit by Vogt was a good fastball. Larry Rothschild, former manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, pitching coach for many years.
Off the foot of Alonso. He'll walk that one off, see where it got him.
Where's it miss? It missed the shin guard. I mean, come on. I mean, you know that's going to happen. Shin guard over the top of his foot, but check just beyond the shin guard, the green onto the white. That's where it hit him.
You mentioned Larry Rothschild. Not only was he the manager, he was the first manager
That's right.
of the then Devil Rays. He was there for 4 years.
Well, they got rid of the devil part of the Rays, and they've become a much better ball club.
And they became good. As soon as they dropped the devil, they became good. We could have told them that.
See, Hal McRae after him. I know he was pretty close around that time. Pinella, yeah.
Later. A shot. Nice play by Teixeira on the very short hop. And Teixeira runs to the bag. He saved a run. So good defense there by the Yankees. And the A's do not score. Played for the Yankees from 1946 to 1963. He managed the Yankees in 1964. He's considered the greatest Yankees of all time. 18-time an All-Star, 10-time World Champion as a player. He died at the age of 90 on September 22nd of last year.
10 World Series titles. That's why I said a ring for every finger and thumb. The great Yogi Berra.
358 career home runs, but so much more with Yogi Berra. And there was a special kind of charisma with Yogi Berra, was there not?
He was Hey, when you are the only catcher to ever catch a perfect game in the World Series, right. Don Larson, at 56, caught a perfect game. You can still see Yogi going out and jumping up into the arms of Don Larson. Quite an accomplishment. But Yogi was outstanding. Really probably noted as a bad ball hitter. I mean, I don't think he ever had a strike zone.
And he was with the Yankees. I mean, they talk about parity in baseball now, and there certainly is parity. But he was with the Yankees when, I mean, they were clearly the best team in baseball. I mean, I looked it up, Ray, from 1936 to 1964. That's a 29-year stretch. They went to the World Series 22 years and won 16. So you think about that, 29 years, 22 out of 29 years the Yankees played in the World Series in that stretch. 36 to 64. So they were going pretty much every year and won 16 times in that stretch. And he was right there.
He played left field. I think he was playing left when Maz hit the home run. 61 World Series.
That's right.
Yeah, he's playing left field.
You're right.
Bill Mazeroski.
Graveman keeps rolling along. Now has a career high 8 strikeouts.
And look at it. There's your backdoor breaking ball. And fooled another hitter. 3-2. You go back to the third inning when he had Teixeira and McCann. Both players 3-2. He struck both of them out with a hard slider cutter down and in. Neither pitch a strike.
He's got Teixeira twice. Well, he's rocking and firing now, so he's in a nice groove. 92 pitches. But since the first inning, he really has not had a high stress inning. Got a double play to help him in the fourth.
To get out of the first after giving up a leadoff double in the game, leaves the bases loaded, striking out Rodriguez.
He's got the pitch thing under control, but that first inning just set him back a little bit.
As we mentioned, Kendall Graveman got married during the offseason to Victoria on Sonny Gray's birthday. And she is in town, and he said, I just turn everything over to her ticket-wise. He said, because I usually forget. And I said, that's tough to do with your wife. So he said he just gives her, they have passwords now, and just send her the computer and leaves the tickets for herself.
Not a way to do it.
But she had never been to New York, he said, so they got to experience Monday's off day in New York as the club came in. Spend the off day, and so nice for him. So he'll call Sonny Gray to wish him a happy birthday, at the same time wish his wife a happy anniversary.
Yeah, I would say you probably
reverse
do one before the other.
That's right.
Hey, Sonny. Happy birthday, buddy.
Well, he learned so much from Barry Zito, and we wish Barry a lot of success in his afterlife of baseball, where he's a singer-songwriter.
We miss Barry
in Nashville, but he was very instrumental in the career of Kendall Graveman. Because when Graveman went to AAA, he got a chance to sit with Barry in the stands, and I mean, just sitting next to Barry was so helpful when he pitched at Nashville last year, and especially as pitchers came down, and Graveman just raved and continues to rave about how much he learned about pitching just sitting and talking to Barry Zito.
First pitch to McCann drops low.
And last summer when Radney Foster came in and sang the national anthem, he from Nashville, a singer-songwriter, so hopefully they were able to get together and Barry could learn the art of singing and writing songs from one of the best in Radney Foster. A Bay Area, at least his wife's a Bay Area native. Oh, he is rocking and
nasty stuff.
I mean, he can't wait to get the ball back and go.
7 in a row retired by Graveman, right at 100 pitches, but as strong as ever. On the ground, tough little hop for Lowry. Throws to first, side retired. 8 in a row retired by Kendall Graveman. Will he go back out there? Manager's decision.
Very own Sean Doolittle Metallica Dome with sound, presented by Ross. 15,000 fans at the Saturday, April the 30th game will receive this one-of-a-kind giveaway that actually plays the A's closers walkout song, and those folks know it in right field bleachers at the Coliseum. They'll have all kinds of gnomes out there for that game. Get your tickets now today at athletics.com/tickets or by calling 877-493-BALL. I bet every one of those fans right now they have a ticket.
Oh.
And they'll be in line on the 30th, and they'll have the gnome lined up in front row and just hoping that Doolittle comes in so they can rock out with their very own gnome.
3-1, the A's lead. It is the 7th inning. It's time for change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts. Kirby Yates comes in. Yates, 29 years old. Born in Hawaii, lives in Hawaii. How about that? In the Indians organization, but the Yankees traded for him in January, right before spring training. Pitched a little bit with the Rays a couple of years ago. So now in the Yankees bullpen. Did not pitch last night.
He was up in what, 1 inning?
That's right, he was up.
Sat down. Mostly a fastball pitcher. Low to mid-90s with the heater, the curveball, and he'll throw the other pitches, but he likes to use his fastball primarily, about half the time. 105 pitches for Eovaldi, which says a lot about how many pitches he threw after the first 3 innings, because the majority of them, 3/4 of them, came from the 4th inning on.
Good slider there, 1 and 2. So 8 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 105 pitches. I mean, all 3 runs are earned, yet his defense kind of let him down.
Really, the only walk was the intentional to Reddick, who's hitting in front of the new number 4 hitter for the A's, Kendall Graveman.
That's right. There's 2 players in Major League Baseball history that went by the first name of Kirby, and we're watching one of them pitch, and we know who the other is.
That's right.
That's it.
Unfortunately, the late Kirby Puckett, because the Hall of Famer left us way too soon, way too young.
Slowly, Gorius, quick release, and they just get similar. So 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Starting to see some action in the A's bullpen. Ryan Dole.
If he's heating up now, he may be coming in for the 7th. And to your point about Kendall Graveman, a lot of pitches early, but to settle down and the old rock and fire, get the ball and throw it, and he was dealing. But the bullpen, so good. Both bullpens, all bullpens are so good that you're just reluctant to send a guy out after 100 pitches or so, especially early in the season. If you have a strong bullpen, turn it over to them.
First pitch to Burns. Takes it down and in. Corner infielders come in a little bit.
Has anybody, did Bob Melvin shake his hand yet? And
have we seen the handshake?
The old proverbial handshake, nice job. So we have not seen it. Unless the guys have it on tape or something, but Kendall Graveman sitting there, no jacket. See, when Ryan Dole loosens up, it's not there's nothing easy about him.
No.
His first offering, I think you said it best in Oakland, about 95.
Yeah, best velocity is the first pitch he throws. A little bit outside.
Well, nice job. Aldo says nice job. Other pitchers come up.
Stay away from the manager.
Okay, nice job.
Just get away from the manager. Hook toward right. Beltran gets back, reaches up and makes the catch. So Burns hit it well.
I think the starting pitchers all realize that while the bullpen is great, Ryan Dole is ready. But they still would like to go 7 because that makes it so much easier in the bullpen. You might have to only use 2 relievers. Last night in the extra innings, the A's used 5. See, Scott Emerson was emulating Kendall Graveman's at bat when he was taking his.
He can do just about anything.
Yeah, he can do it all.
On Saturday, Sonny Gray threw a lot of pitches and he got through 5 innings and he wanted to go up there for the 6th, and he said when he came back to the dugout, I just didn't look at Bob.
Right.
I just didn't. Just don't look at the manager. Don't make eye contact with him. And Sonny went out there and went through the 6th inning. One and one to Chris Coghlan, who has grounded out, doubled in a run, and struck out. He has also scored. He's got all 3 of the runs, and it was a wacky 4th inning,
wasn't it?
And the A's took advantage of some Yankee mistakes and got 3 runs. Good enough so far. Good changeup, 2-2. The noise you're hearing from the crowd, they're doing the wave here at Yankee Stadium. Starting to die out a little bit out in the outfield. Now picking up steam. I guess that's what the wave does. There we go. Who started that wave? Anybody ever take credit for the wave?
Well, Crazy George.
We know a guy.
Crazy George in Oakland, but they said it was before that, but who knows?
You sure you want to own that? That's the question. The wave was good for a while. I just don't know if I don't know if it's not that cool anymore.
No, a lot of people don't like it.
Good swing by Coghlan. He got a pitch on the inside half. Had a little tail on it.
I want to say Chuck Morgan, the PA announcer down at the Rangers.
Yeah.
I think he puts a circle up with a.
Does he? Good
no,
for Chuck.
he doesn't. Yeah, he's opposed to
Just
this.
another reason
To
why
the
we
wave.
like it.
That's right.
It's too hot to do the wave.
Oh yeah, you got to stand up down there. You want to stand up on home runs and cheering something.
Yeah, you don't want to overexert yourself in Arlington. We get to go there in July, August, and September this year. Boom. 2-2 pitch, just a touch high, and now 3-2.
Well, for a pitcher who likes to utilize his fastball, he sure is throwing a lot of breaking pitches.
Sure
but
is.
he's young and probably going with the veteran catcher Brian McCann. But he is throwing a lot of non-fastballs.
So a good at bat by Coghlan.
You know what might be the determining factor whether Kendall Graveman comes back out or not is what Josh Reddick does.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Graveman, and it's going to be Coco coming out, so I think we have already maybe a double switch. How about a double switch in an American League game? That would be a sight to see, wouldn't it?
Well,
because if he's going to lead off, and Dahl, of course, he may only pitch 1 inning anyway.
Yeah. But we also have the pitcher hitting cleanup in the 5th inning tonight, so anything can happen.
Yeah. So Reddick will get to swing the bat because unless Coghlan steals second, which he probably shouldn't. I think the skipper's already made up his mind.
Reddick is 1 for 2.
Do you know, Kai, just thinking with Coco Crisp in the on-deck circle, could be a deke. Could have put him out there
Sure.
to force Joe Girardi to pitch to Reddick.
Yep.
Because if Kendall Graveman's in the on-deck circle, he could still pitch if Reddick makes an out. Graveman's still in the game. He could go back out and pitch, but it's kind of up to Reddick swinging the bat, and we'll see what happens, but it could be a decoy.
He hooks one, headed for the right field corner. Foul. If you're just joining us, what we're talking about is Danny Valencia hurt his hamstring a little bit and had to come out of the game. Jed Lowry is the designated hitter tonight. This is where Valencia hurt his left hamstring a little bit. So he had to come out of the game. Jed Lowry, the DH, then entered the game. And Valencia out, Lowry in, but Lowry is the DH. So it means the pitcher now has to hit because you lose your DH. So Reddick pops out, and we are headed to the bottom of the 7th. Will Kendall Graveman come back out? I think he is. We like that. He's on a roll. A's leading 3-1.
Is brought to you by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places. And by Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience TV.
Hey, we get in-depth sports news for the great Bay Area sports fans. Know it all with Sportsnet Central. Brought to you by Hyundai tonight at 10:30, and it's on our sister station, CSN Bay Area. We'll have all the post-game reaction from our game here at Yankee Stadium. Warriors report from Houston as they get set for Game 3 tomorrow night. And then, don't forget, Kings and Sharks, Game 4 tonight, right after A's baseball here in CSN, California. So they'll talk about that tonight as well on Sportsnet Central. So, that's Sportsnet Central. And again, remember, Sharks, Kings, after A's baseball. So Kendall Graveman back out there. He's right at 100 pitches, and he's retired 8 in a row. His career high in pitches is 111. I mean, he is just rolling along, and it would be hard to take him out at this point.
And you know, he was sitting on the bench and just saying, come on, Josh, make an out. If you get on base, I'm out of this game. So it works out great. He can pinch hit Coco in the 8th inning, bring in his reliever, and no double switch needed. But he might have had the double switch. Now he's got Stinsky, or as the skipper called him, he says, Zep. That's it. Just Zep. That's it. And it's Ryan Doe, the right-hander. Stinsky, the left-hander. Kendall Graveman back out on the mound, and what a performance.
He's going to face Alex Rodriguez, Chase Headley, Didi Gregorius here in the bottom of the 7th. This pitch is tapped just foul. Picked up by Coughlin, who's on third base with Lowry at second and Valencia out. 3 hits for the Yankees. One of them a home run by Gregorius in the 2nd inning. Ellsbury had a double in the 1st, and Alex Rodriguez had a single in the 4th. Those are the hits. Fought off and hit down the right field line into the 2nd level. Graveman has at least 1 strikeout in every inning, totaling 8. So he has used it all tonight. That's a nice assortment. Off of Graveman, it rolls to Lowry, picks it up, throws to first, and let's hope Kendall Graveman is okay.
Well, he put his glove up immediately, and I don't know if it was to say I got hit solid. Watch as he's hit and see if we can see him put his glove up. Got him off his glove. I think he got him on his glove or maybe his wrist, and as soon as it happened, he put his hand up with his glove pointed towards the dugout. Let's hope it's to say I'm okay, unless it got him on the wrist. Yeah, he said, yeah, I'm all right, I'm good, especially getting out.
So 9 in a row retired, and now he faces Chase Headley.
That's a hard way to get a ground ball out, but he got one.
First pitch strike. They had a couple of hits last night, and 0 for 2 tonight, and 2 for 6 in the series. Shift is on as Simeon slides over to the right of second base. Coughlin playing right at the shortstop spot, just a little low, 3-1.
Double barrel action for the A's, the bullpen. It may be batter to batter for Kendall Graveman, considering the pitch count. And we'll see now. The lefty coming up.
Close pitch, yeah. Called the ball. So 3rd walk issued by Graveman. Yeah. Bob Melvin's coming out, and he's made the call. So at 109 pitches, Graveman's night comes to an end. 6 1/3, and he was terrific tonight, allowing just 3 hits. So when it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and smog experts. Nice job tonight by Kendall Graveman. Sajinski's coming in.
player of the game, Kendall Graveman. What an outing, as he got a double play there. Nice return by the A's. 4-6-3. Got Mark Teixeira with a check swing on a breaking ball down and in. Gets Alex Rodriguez with a paint fastball inside corner. And then just keeps going outside corner. Again, here's a breaking ball, actually off-speed pitch. So 8 strikeouts. He had 8 ground ball outs. Make it 9 ground ball outs, 8 strikeouts, a couple of balls in the air. But a brilliant performance by Kendall Graveman. Did a great job. And Kipe, you remember last year, for the month of June 6th or 7th to just July the 4th, 6 starts in which he pitched 7 or more innings, allowed 2 or fewer runs.
He had a nice stretch.
It was a great stretch. Now he'll sit back and hope the bullpen can continue to do what they've been doing.
Gregorius, the first pitch from Zepchinski is way inside. Zepchinski, one job to do. Hicks, the on-deck hitter, is a switch hitter. After that, Ellsbury, left-handed hitter. There's a shot toward Burns in right center. He'll play it on a hop, and then it rolls past him. Headley's going to go to third, and Gregorius is going to go to second. Now the ball rolls through to the middle of the infield. Well, the Yankees are in business. Second and third, 1 out.
Well, it would have been a single and a double play in order. Hit hard by Gregorius on a fastball, and Billy Burns just had to go off his glove, but Gregorius running had stopped at first, and it's going to be an E8, allowing Gregorius to get to second base. And that is a big play. And so he is able to get to second base, takes away the double play possibility.
And here's Aaron Hicks. Gregorius has hurt the A's tonight, a homer and a single. And the first pitch to Hicks is hit high and foul. Zepchinski pitched last night, Ray, but just 5 pitches.
Yeah.
Got an out.
Right now trying to get an out, although if he does get a ground ball and it's not a strikeout, a run would score. But A's do have a 2-run lead. Trying to hang on for Kendall Graveman, who pitched brilliantly tonight.
Coughlin. No. Did they get the double play? No, a run scores.
No, he didn't. He did tag him, I think, because he walked. They got the double play.
I think they did. Coughlin came in. He tried to get the tag. Laz Diaz, he singled safe.
Yeah,
That's why I wasn't sure.
But Coughlin, with Gregorius running in at about the same place.
There's the juggle, the tag, the throw,
and the pick.
And out there, and it's a double play. And it was close at first. So there's all kinds of things going on right now. And you're looking at the tag play, but the play at first was very close as well.
Well, but if that's what they may be looking at Gregorius coming in on the grass. Now, see, Gregorius comes in on the grass to avoid the tag, and then the bobble, and then the pick at first. I think it looks like he's out at first. He jumped to the bag, and Alonso again. What a night.
Looks like it looked like he was out at first, but not sure about the tag.
Now they're pointing back to something. Maybe pointing back to the runner at third.
Well, they're going to look at it as the replay's coming out.
What are they saying?
Watch this right now. Does he tag him? He may have missed him.
No, they're going to take a look at it. That's what Jeff Nelson was saying. They're going to look at it. Are they looking at this one? And if they look at that one, it looks like he's out. It looked like he got the throw. Nice pick by Alonso. So if he called him out there, he's out of the baseline running on the grass. So that's probably why he was called out there. And then the pick by Alonso with Hicks jumping in the bag.
So you got 2 close plays that could go either way. Although the one at first, it did look like the A's got him. They're showing a shot on the board, and you know what? He missed him.
But did he run on the grass and out of the baseline? And to avoid it, and last night, remember, there was an out called running out of the baseline at second base.
Well, this is a huge call, because
if Lance Diaz called him out, because that may not be a reviewable call with the out of the baseline.
I don't think
so maybe the call's at first base that Girardi's asking about. Although Joe's looking at their diamond vision, and man, what a night.
Crazy night. We'll just sit back and let this kind of come into focus here.
Smart
but
play.
There is a run that's sitting out there.
Right.
Could be scored or not.
Good play by Coghlan to try to tag the runners coming in front of him. The difference, though, Cap, you can see the ball is in the webbing of his glove. Instead of if it's in the pocket, he could tag him, keep it, and make the good throw. But it was in the webbing.
He juggled it a little bit.
He juggled it, trying to take it out of the webbing.
Coghlan's confident. I like that. He's in the dugout. Here's the call.
Out.
And it's a double play.
And no run.
And no run score.
And Girardi might get ejected.
And Joe Girardi's coming out.
You cannot argue a challenge play.
So the A's end up with a double play, and the Yankees do not score. Unbelievable. Scores only 3-1.
But that was huge, especially putting two runners in scoring position. And then what a great play by Chris Coghlan to double up a runner on second and third on a ground ball to third. That is surprising.
So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts. Chad Pinder comes in. So Billy Butler is going to hit. It's Brandon Pidner. I stand correct. Not Chad. Brandon Pinder. Butler, a line drive, and that's going to be a hit to right center. So the A's get their 9th hit.
Well, Billy Butler going to the right side, that patented swing we saw so often with Kansas City, and this one past the second baseman into right field for a base hit.
Well, Butler's aboard. Here's the numbers on Brandon Pinder. Here's from last year. Stephen Vogt steps in. First pitch is outside. Doolittle starts to throw out in the A's bullpen. Of course, Butler was the pitcher spot.
So really it's a National League game where you're pinch hitting in the pitcher spot.
Yeah, it becomes a spot. Yeah, you're going to pinch hit every time that spot comes up. And for the A's, they hope it does not come up again.
And although it was Coco Crispy on deck circle, Billy Butler was the pinch hitter, and they saved Coco for later and not pinch run for Billy Butler. Just leave him in the game. Now they're shifting, they're putting Gregorius back at short, and Headley's going to the other side. So I think they did it last night, because I want to say Headley, there was a 5-3 put out. That's right, because I said 5-3. It's like Vogt hit a ball to the third baseman, but he hit the right field where Headley was playing. So they are shifting.
How about that? Under the glove of Headley, who just moved over there. I'm sure he's thrilled about that. So it's a hit either way for Stephen Vogt, and he's 2 for 3.
And that's twice he's really gone through the shift. They had it in right field. He hit a ball that went to the wall for a double in his last at bat. So when he's made contact tonight, he has really hit the ball hard through everything. Jed Lowry was upset in his last at bat when Vogt had started the inning with a double, struck out, was upset. Now he has the same opportunity, although 2 runners on base. And like you said, Cat, coming off a big 4-hit game last night, and he'd like to continue tonight with the equal success.
First pitch is a bit high. So Ray, as Major League Baseball does on the replays, they send their announcers emails, and they explain it, and we just got it, and it's very interesting. It was not running out of the baseline. And I'll read the actual what the email says and what they were looking at, and it's pretty interesting. After viewing all relevant angles, the replay official could not definitely determine that the fielder missed the tag on the runner. So it had nothing to do with being out of the baseline. It was just, did he tag him or did he not tag him? And they could not really, definitely determine that the fielder missed the tag on the runner. So there you go. So it was just basically, did Coghlan tag him or not? The call was, yes, he did, and they could not see anything that would make them overturn that. So that's a break for the A's.
A huge break, because to be honest, I thought Laz Diaz put his hands out in a safe sign, which I thought would mean that basically he missed it. So
that's interesting. So
the challenge was on that and not on the runner at first base,
because it was tough to tell whether Coghlan did or not, but it looked like he may have missed him. You have to have a sure look at it, and they did not see one. Outside, and the A's have the bases loaded and nobody out.
We were talking about Yogi Berra. Yogi was managing in 1973 when people say, I still didn't tag Bud Harrelson on the throw at the plate.
Well, you know, we've talked about this 1,000 times, right? You tagged him so hard he had a bruise on his side. I don't know why they're so controversial. None. You're an honest man.
Yeah.
Poor guy had a cracked rib. You tagged him so hard.
We didn't have replay challenges either.
Yeah, that was one where whatever they initially called.
That's it. Augie Donatelli was in the great, perfect position.
And Yogi Berra could just argue and he was not going to get over.
Great Willie Mays was on his knees with his hands up in the air saying he didn't tag him.
So a quick meeting. Brandon Pinder's in all kinds of trouble. Single walk, and Chris Davis is the hitter. Boy, how this momentum of this game has changed. You were worried about the Yankees tying up the game, and now the A's have a chance to really kind of bust it open. Infield comes in. A strike at the knees to Chris Davis, who's 1 for 3.
I think just as important, I mean, if you look at the statistics and the inherited runner scoring, it was another one that possibly would have scored, Simsinski, and gets a rare double play as right-hander Nova gets loose.
Base hit center field. That's going to knock home 1 run. That's going to knock home 2 runs as Vogt scores. Chris Davis comes through, and just like that, it is 5-1, the A's lead.
Well, staring at a possible tie game. Instead, good break for the A's with a double play with runners at second and third, and a big swing by Chris Davis. Bases loaded. Went upstairs, got the high fastball, drove it hard up the middle. So he is strong when it makes contact. It does on this one, especially with a drawn-in infield. Gregorius diving, he had no chance to get the ball was past him before he hit the ground.
So RBIs 2 and 3 for Davis, and now Yonder Alonso will hit, and still nobody out.
Hitting the bag with a base hit in his last at bat.
That's right.
It's going to turn him around. Or 2 bats ago.
Chopped over the mound. Gregorius tag, throw to first, and that's a double play. Gregorius charged it, and as he charged it, he kind of had to go past the bag. So instead of touching the bag, he just tagged the runner.
Usually the runner stops, and Davis did, but could not, with his momentum, get in a rundown. And Gregorius, a good play.
So now a runner at third. That's Lowry, 2 outs. Hitless tonight for Marcus Semien. A slider that kind of hung on the inside, called strike. Semien is 1 for 7 now in the series. Swing and a miss. 95 miles an hour from Brandon Pinder. In behind in the count, and he chased a slider, and that will do it. But the A's get a couple of runs on 3 hits. There was a walk, so it's now 5-1. A's lead the Yankees as we go to the bottom of the 8th.
Telecast is presented by authority of the Oakland Athletics and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
Game summary brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. 5-11-2 for the A's, 1-4-1 for the Yankees. It's been kind of a crazy game. We've had a couple crazy innings. Kendall Graveman was terrific. Career high 8 strikeouts and 6 1/3. Couple hits, couple of RBIs for Chris Davis. A 3-hit game for Burns. So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts. Ryan Dull comes in for appearance number 8. Lots of zeros up there, and that's always a good thing. He's got a no-hitter going. So Dull will face the top of the Yankees lineup. First pitch is a strike. So 7 1/3 innings from Ryan Dull this year without giving up a hit. It's a good guy to have. I mean, if you think of him, listen, we've talked a lot about this A's bullpen because it's been good so far. I think, Ray, maybe what you go to Doolittle, Madsen, Axford, you think about those 3 guys first because they can all close. I think maybe what has a chance to make this bullpen really good is who the A's have to pitch the 6th and the 7th innings.
Yep.
Dull and Fernando Rodriguez, who's did a good job last year. Looks like he's even better this year.
Well, he's a couple of years removed from Tommy John surgery. Fernando is, and during spring training he started looking, and goose eggs. 7 games, 7 1/3, 9 strikeouts, no walks, no runs, no hits. Excellent. Showed it last September in spring, and again now in a much improved changeup. A pitch that he said he felt hurt him last year whenever he didn't have the changeup, just the hard fastball and slider. But now he's had the changeup to get the hitters off everything being hard.
I had a scout say something interesting to me about Ryan Dull. The fact that he's not a flamethrower. He's 92, but he gets strikeouts. And he said he has a very fast arm.
Very. Everything
makes sense.
Exactly.
And he gets the arm through. And I think that adds a little movement, a little late movement to it.
Well, it does. And if you're a hitter and you're looking at that, there's no nice and easy delivery. It's boom, here it comes.
Fast arm.
Yeah.
So it looks a little faster than it really is.
Left the fastball out, but it was up, and Jacoby Ellsbury parks a little bit too big for him. Should try to go in that direction. You know, he's pretty interesting in the fact that he does almost the same thing every time. After he gets the pitch, he'll wipe his fingers, then wipe his or lick his thumb. It does the same thing, and wipes his hand. See if he does it there. No, not going to do it with the thumb this time. But it's almost all the time where he'll lick his fingers. You have to wipe, because if you're on the mound, you have to wipe your hands clean. But whatever he is doing, he's good. He's great, as a matter of fact. There.
So now he'll face Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, he went to thumb. Finally did. You know, certain pitchers and hitters, they do everything kind of the same, and why not? If you've had the success that Ryan Dull has had, you might as well do it.
Carlos Beltran's 0 for 3. Yankees with just 4 hits in the game. They've gone 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Think about this, Ray. Remember the very first inning. The Yankees had first and second, nobody out. They had first and third, 1 out. Did not score. Had some chances. Right. And then the crazy inning that ended with the double play.
Yeah.
They had second and third, 1 out. Did not score. So they're really scuffling offensively.
Well, and to your point earlier about the hits with runners in scoring position, something Joe Girardi, Alan Cockrell's hitting coach, Marcus Timms, the assistant hitting coach, they've had to deal with it, and they know it's early, and they will come to life.
Well, they're 2 for their last 45 with runners in scoring position. That tells you how much trouble they have had getting the big hit the last week. And that one is a big one. Second deck, definitely 5-2. So 4th home run of the year for Beltran, and in his career, number 396.
And it was a 3-1 fastball. If it's still a 1-run game or 2-run game, he might have thrown in his changeup. But he didn't. He threw a fastball, and there's a quick bat of Carlos Beltran that he still has. He knows it's gone. It's just a matter of, does it get to the 3rd deck? No. Halfway up the 2nd deck. But I think that's a matter of the count and the fact that it's a 4-run game. There's a switch hitters to Shera. 1 ahead of Beltran now.
Teixeira is 0 for 3 tonight. Struck out in the 1st, struck out in the 3rd, and then grounded out in the 6th. Teixeira does not have a hit in this series. He's 0 for 6. He has walked a couple of times. Strike on the outside corner, 2-2. Rangers leading the Astros 2-1 in the 6th inning. Lowry has it, flips to 1st. Side retired, Carlos Beltran, a home run, solo shot. So 9th inning coming up. It's 5-2, A's lead. Coming up next, followed by the Kings versus the Sharks game at 7:30. If necessary, this A's Yankees game will continue on CSN Plus, which is on Comcast channels 105 and in high def on channel 780, DirecTV channel 698-1, Dish standard definition 451 and high def 9539, and AT&T 778 standard and 1768, 1760 in high. Yeah. So the Sharks and the Kings tonight drop the puck around 7:35. A's leading 5-2 when it's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and smog experts. Nova comes in. His first pitch is a ball to Burns. Fourth pitcher of the night. It's been Eovaldi, Yates, Pinder, and Nova.
As Joe Girardi about the situation in spring training, there was some talk about CC Sabathia and Nova going for the number 5 in the rotation, and Joe simply said, you never look at spring training, especially when you have a veteran pitcher. He said CC Sabathia was going to be the starter. Nova was going to go to the bullpen, and so Vallejo owned CC Sabathia basically exactly where he's been his whole career, and that's in the rotation.
Sean Doolittle looks like he's going to get the ninth. Well, after what happened to the pitchers in the Arizona spring training this year, it was a slugfest.
Yes, it was.
Well, Coughlin, an RBI double and a run scored in that fourth inning.
And we know that CC had to go through some off-field issues last year in postseason, and Joe said that things had to be done. He got them taken care of, and he's back to pitching like they expect him to here at Yankee Stadium. So the confident Chris Coughlin in the dugout during that challenge, everything, the review. So he knew, right? He knew he tagged him. He said
he must have.
He said if that's what they're looking at, then I can take off my hat and I can get relaxed in the dugout because I know I got him.
He hits this one high in the air toward Hicks in left field. And really, I mean, we showed pretty good replays, but there really was not one replay where you could clearly see that he missed him.
A definitive call.
Yeah, and
that's why they say whatever the call on the field. And fortunately, Laz Diaz put up the hand that he attacked it.
That's the biggest part of the play. What was the original call on the field?
Because they can't overturn something that they cannot definitively see that should have been overturned. So that's why you're always hopeful in those challenges that the play on the field, that it's your kind of play that you want.
Castro slides to his left, throws out Reddick, and Nova has a quick top of the ninth inning. Bottom of the ninth coming up. It's going to be Brian McCann, Alex Rodriguez, and Chase Headley to face the lefty Sean Doolittle. As they lead the Yankees 5-2. Remember, Sharks pregame live is coming up at the conclusion of this A's-Yankees game. And let's hope that Sean Doolittle just quietly gets through the Yankees here in the bottom of the ninth. He's got a 3-run lead to work with. Sharks and the Kings tonight. Game 4 of their best-of-7 series. So Doolittle comes in. He pitched last night 1 inning through just 11 pitches. So he should be fine and set to go. Trying to get the save. Get a win for Kendall Graveman. Graveman has not had a win since last 4th of July. And I bet Doolittle knows it.
And coincidentally, that was the end of the 6th consecutive 7+ 2 or fewer runs. And that was his last one, so A's would like to get one for him tonight.
0-1 to Brian McCann, who has walked, struck out, and grounded out. Just missed outside. Rodriguez to follow, and then Headley. If anybody were to get on, Didi Gregorius. That's a base hit. It's a little bit to the left of second base, so McCann gets his first hit in the series. Leadoff single here in the ninth.
On a good fastball, and McCann knows that he's a power hitter, but he also knows they're down 3 and trying to set the table and start something in the ninth, and he does it by going against the shift.
So the right-hander Liam Hendricks starts to throw just in case things get a little squirrely here in the ninth. First pitch to Alex Rodriguez is popped up shallow center. So Doolittle came right at him with a fastball, and Rodriguez a little bit late.
You'd have to think center field there. We always talk about, can you judge the hitter swing on the bat? Well, Alex Rodriguez swings so hard. If you're a center fielder and no balls hit the center, you might have a tendency to break back. But with Billy Burns' speed, he could get to it easily, which he did on that one.
Headley swings at the first pitch, lofts one to right. 2 away.
Yeah, they're setting fastball. They're getting the fastball, but doing nothing with it.
So Gregorius, the last hope to keep the ball game going for the Yankees. Final game of the series tomorrow. Rich Hill and Luis Severino. 4:05 first pitch. We'll have it for you right here on CSN California, and then it's on to Toronto. Should be a fun series in Toronto.
That was a fun 95-mile-an-hour fastball that Doolittle just delivered to Gregorius.
That one was past him. He just got a piece of it. So 0-2 the count. Doolittle working quickly. Delivers, swing and a miss. He blew it right by him. Doolittle saves it for Graveman, and the A's are starting to heat up as they win their 4th consecutive game, 5-2. 2 hours and 57 minutes time of game. Attendance was 37,396. So Kendall Graveman gets the win, Doolittle gets the save, and the A's beat the Yankees tonight 5-2. You've been watching Oakland A's baseball on CSN California, part of the NBC Sports Group. Sharks pregame live starts right now with Brody Brazil and Curtis Brown.